I don't think I need a lot of time to discuss this. If you didn't watch AEW's Wednesday Night Dynamite last night, it's a horrible name for a show, but you know what? It's fine. Uh, what a wrestling program. It was a wrestling program that had wrestling on it. And wins and losses matter. The announcers are talking about previous matches, and this person lost to that guy, and the match before that he had to draw with this guy, and if he wants to get into the title picture, he's gonna have to win tonight. And it's like, okay, so that makes it sound like the actual matches matter. Now, the biggest hits for me, MJF is fantastic. I'm not sure what they're gonna do with him. I think MJF is amazing. John Moxley making a surprise appearance was both fantastic and weird. Okay, so since when? And I'm gonna be frank about this. Like there were problems I had during the show where I went, huh? So Moxley comes in and beats up Kenny Omega, and the referee standing there watching it, kind of, all right, well it's 3-on-2 now. Oh, that's not how that works, ref. That's a disqualification. Even if Moxley's not working with Jericho, it's still a disqualification. It was weird. Now, it led to this spot where a coffee table that's in the middle of the floor, for whatever reason, it was a prop coffee table, and they went through it, and it was well executed. And it puts over Moxley versus Omega, which is what you're trying to do here. And then it turned into a schmoz from there. Now, keep in mind, this is a first episode. There are a lot of people who would have been watching this that likely didn't watch the pay-per-view, so they may not know who is who. So the announcers are kind of grabbing you by the hand and going, all right, this is who these wrestlers are, this is how they got here, and this is what's going on. So you have schmoz finishes like we saw, because you're putting over, all right, here's your feuds, here's your good guys, here's your bad guys. Can I gush a little bit about how much potential Sammy Guevara has? And we look at Sammy Guevara, he weighs, I think they said 182 pounds was how he's announced, or 186, and all I could think was, in WWE, he'd get buried on 205 Live, and he'd just be another guy that flips around and flies around the ring. He had a very good match with Cody. I liked the ending of it. I think the fact that Sammy teased that he was going to shake hands and be buddies, and then, nope. And even then, when Jericho comes out and beats up Cody Rhodes initially at the start of the show, you don't know necessarily that Sammy's working with Jericho till the end of the show when he comes in. So you've got the former LAX, Santino and Ortiz, with Jericho, and they put them over as the big bad guys. And you had to do that because the crowd popped huge for Jericho. They know who Chris Jericho is. They love Jericho. You're trying to get the crowd to boo him, which is not easy because Jericho's awesome. Jericho came across as the champ, and then, you know, when Dustin Rhodes came out to make the save for Cody and the crowd went nuts, and then Jake Hager comes in using his real name, as I'd hoped he would, as I said in the video I did yesterday on this. What a great show. Now, there were weaknesses. The women's division is a black hole. It is. And Rio wins it, and congratulations to her. The problem I had with that match was simple. Nyla Rose is about twice the size of Riho. And if Nyla Rose really wanted to win the match and went into business for herself, as wrestlers sometimes do, yeah, Rio wouldn't have had a chance. Rio did the double stomp, and I'm thinking, no, it's just no. So the women's division, and then Britt Baker was out there to help call the match, and I thought, okay, so maybe she'll come in and help Rio after the match when she's getting beat up. No, she's just going to sit there. Okay. It just, I don't know. I know they're setting up Britt Baker to be the face of the division at some point, but I don't understand why they didn't just give her the title out of the gate. I think if it was Britt Baker against Nyla Rose, it would have made a lot more sense than Rio, but I guess, and then there was the weird interview thing, and then Nyla comes out, and then the one thing I'll say for that whole segment that wasn't great is Kenny Omega coming out and kind of picking a fight with Nyla. I like that. That was good. That was well done. And then you come back from the break, and Kenny Omega's already gone backstage, and he's ready for the match. So, Kenny Omega being part of the Elite, which is, the ownership group of the company, clearly Omega is enhancement. He's upper card enhancement talent to put the new guys over. And we have yet to see Omega, I think, in AEW really have the match that we know he can have. So we're probably saving that for against Jon Moxley. It's a good event, and here's the thing that I realized that I liked. Okay, about a half an hour in, I went, "This is a wrestling broadcast." Okay, I like wrestling. The whole sports entertainment and all the other stuff, I'm not a huge fan of. I like the old school promos they were doing. I liked some of the tag team wrestling that was in there, and there are a lot of tag teams. And it's going to be interesting to see how they make the tag team situation work, because there are a lot of tag teams. You don't necessarily want to make one look weaker than everybody else. Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes at ringside, that was weird, but they're trying to put over that they've got a new movie and Chris Jericho's in it. So I like both of those things. I've been a big Kevin Smith fan for decades. I have memorized most of the movie Clerks. I have memorized Clerks 2. And the movies in between, other than Chasing Amy, you can just take that one and pitch that one in the trash. But all the other movies are pretty good. And I'm understating it by saying pretty good. Dogma's greatly underrated. But, Jason Mewes, it's tough when Jason Mewes isn't allowed to swear, because you can tell he's much more funny when he can. But that was kind of weird and fun. And Private Party, I have to say, I like Private Party a lot. I think of the tag teams that they've got, that might end up being their best. And I say that knowing that the Young Bucks are flippin' legends. They executed. There were some moves in that match tonight after the whole Omega thing happened, where he's taken out of the match, that I was just amazed by how well the former LAX, now Santino and Ortiz, the chemistry they have with the Young Bucks is amazing, and I can't wait to see more of it. I remember Young Bucks in ROH and the super kick parties, and we almost kind of got that, but you don't have the same announcers, so you don't hear super kick. Here's to hoping we hear that again soon. I loved hearing Tony Schiavone. My God, what has happened in this world? I hated Tony Schiavone so much in WCW. But here's the thing. I didn't like Tony Schiavone because of the crap he had to say that Bischoff was making him say. A lot of the time, Schiavone was over the top and aggravating, and now I understand that was just the way that Bischoff wanted it to sound. Tony Schiavone tonight reminded me of the old NWA Tony Schiavone. That was great. Jim Ross, is he older? Yes. Has he lost a step as a commentator from the beginning of time when he was a great commentator? Yes. Is he still easier to listen to than 90% of the commentators in WWE? Yeah. Mauro Ranallo is really the best announcer, I think, in wrestling right now. Mauro Ranallo's absolutely amazing, but it was the announcing was fine. I was fine with all three, which says something, because the commentary has been kind of for the most part for this company since it started. But for week one, this was good, and apparently the ratings news is good. And AEW versus NXT. Apparently AEW wins week one, and now the ball is going to be in the court of Vince McMahon. Can Vince handle that his third show lost a ratings war to AEW, or will he try to beef up NXT and turn this into a war? I don't take it as a war, and here's why. So the show ends with Jack Swagger, and the crowd doing the "We the People" chant. That was really, really fun. But he's Jake Hager. He didn't play up the "We the People" at all, and that's not him now. They talked about his MMA a lot, so they're going to play him up to be a legit tough guy, which he is, and he's huge. And, maybe it was because he always had this goofy look to him in WWE. I underestimated just how big and powerful he actually was. So, I think he's a diamond in the rough, and I think for the new company, for AEW, he could be a big draw. He really could. And while people may laugh at that, may say, oh, whatever, hey, Undertaker wasn't a draw the first couple of times around until he found the Undertaker gimmick. Diesel certainly wasn't Diesel when he was Oz. There have been bad gimmicks, and there have been times where wrestlers just didn't get over, and then all of a sudden, they did. And when it happens, you forget everything that happened before. Remember, Die Rocky Die. I do. Anyways, it was a great show. If you haven't seen it, track down footage, watch it. You can probably skip most of the women's match, and I apologize for that because I want to say that the whole show was great from start to finish, but when the rest of the show is booked so well, and then the women's match is just sort of there, I that's where they've got to work on some things. You need Tennille Dashwood in there. You need some women that can really wrestle, and you need to build up some storylines here, and you need to at least make it so that I can suspend my disbelief. And when Nyla Rose, who's extremely powerful, is against Rio, who's a good wrestler, very, very good wrestler, and she's fun and she connects with the audience, but I don't believe for 2 seconds that she could last 2 seconds in that match. It's really hard for me to believe it. So that was my main issue with it. But let me know your thoughts if you watched it in the comment section below. Yeah, that won me over. I was actually applauding while watching on TV as the main event came to a close. That was just so well booked, so well thought out, and it creates so many different storylines that they can go to from here, so many different feuds, and I'm excited. And I don't often get excited watching wrestling anymore. And I've been conditioned to the point where I watch something when something good happens and go, oh, that was good. Wonder how they're going to screw that up. And that's not something you want to be thinking while you're watching a show. So if you haven't seen it, watch it. And if you have watched it, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I think it was fantastic. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Pac is a legit badass. The former Neville of WWE, back to using his Pac name that he had before on the indie scene. Absolutely badass. His match with Hangman Page was really good, and the right man won there. The only issue I can see as well with AEW right now is who is going to be that big name face of the company. Like, we've got all these heels that are clearly heels, whether it's Moxley, Jericho, now Hager, and all of these pretty big heels. MJF's clearly a heel, can't work as a face. So who's going to be that face? It can't be Cody because he's really an authority figure. And you know, it's not going to be Dustin at this stage of the game. So who's going to be that big face? Is it going to be Omega? Can that work? Or are they going to build up Adam Page and make him that big name, that guy that everybody's chanting for when somebody's getting beat up in the ring? Let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And again, it really feels like something important happened last night. And it's nice. It's nice to have that option back. And that I have to say too, the best way to put it to me, I think, was it felt like if ROH had a real budget and had been able to put on a really high quality, highly glossy show, and to do that over a full 2 hours, it would have looked a lot like what AEW did last night. And when ROH was at its peak, which it's not right now, it just doesn't feel right now. When ROH was at its peak, it was really damn good. And that last night, good show. I will be recording that every week. But let me know if you will be as well. I'll talk to you again soon.